This is the weekly liquidity map for liquidity narrative. We will identify the external range, the internal liquidity, and the likely delivery. But remember, sequencing determines the outcome. But map liquidity first before execution. Let's dive into what we have in store on our liquidity mapping this week. For the week, we are going to be mapping out our liquidity for the week for liquidity narrative channel. So the question is for the week, where are we? What's the narrative? Where is price coming from? Where is price at the moment? So our daily range is these levels that we've mapped out. These are our current, most recent level, the highs and the lows on the week. The question is where is price at the moment? The price is at this level, which is the equilibrium point within this range that we've mapped out. And then we can see that price was actually coming out from the discount level and got to this equilibrium price at the moment. So having said that, we've seen our range within the week. We are going to be dropping on the daily time frame to be able to get our draw on liquidity. So using that particular scenario and then the level where we are, which is the equilibrium price on the weekly, was the likelihood where price most likely go to this week. So looking at that, price is likely to favor the weekly order block, which is this blue line. And next, price is likely to be drawn to these old highs, which is an internal range liquidity on the daily time frame. Those are the scenarios. But then if we are looking at price, where will price react to? Price is likely to react to this other block here below, or this other block here below, or probably this. We will actually say that whichever side that is being traded first depend on where price get to first, because we are looking at this area as our draw on liquidity. The market may actually open and then trade to this point before coming down. So if this point is being traded, sorry about that. If this point is being traded first, that means the opposite is our target. But then where price is at the moment, I'm looking at price to drop back, try this other block or this, then continue to go up to respect the zones or peradventure here to respect the zones. If this zone is being traded, then our narrative change. That's what it takes for our USTEC, starting from the weekly. We've identified what our range is, our daily range is. These are the range we are dealing with. Then we drop on the daily time frame to consider what our narrative is, what we are seeking, what price is actually looking out to and drawing to. So we identify these levels as our areas that we are looking at price. The upside becomes our draw on liquidity. Here we are looking at reactions on this area to determine our trade. And then as we are currently on British pound USD chart, this is the weekly chart. The weekly chart actually, so we are looking at to map out our liquidity, our narrative for the week. This is the daily range we are looking at this moment. Where was price coming out from? Price actually, as at last week, filled this gap, respected the gap. So our daily range is this. Using the current narrative, we see that price is likely to favor this other block on the upside, towards the upside, which is this other block. So if we drop to the daily time frame, still using the range within the weekly, price is actually on a discount level and has filled the gap of the weekly. We are saying that our draw on liquidity remains on this fair value gap, which is also a zone, an area of order block on the weekly. It corresponds together, the fair value gap, the weekly, and probably it might get to this daily order block if that is ready to continue to go up towards that. We've closed the fair value gap on the weekly. We are looking towards those area. Yes, price might react to this area before getting to this zone or to this zone. But if price decided to come down, it might react to this area and start getting down. But our draw on liquidity, our narrative for this week is price to get to the zone or peradventure the zone. But this is the main area we are looking at for this week on British pound USD. We're moving down to the next pair. Here on Euro USD also we are looking at those range. Our current daily range is this. We are looking at those range. We can actually see that price filled as fair value gap on the weekly, in as much as price is at the premier zone of the weekly time frame. So if we drop Using this range, if we drop to the daily time frame, like others, as we're still on that, we've saw that price as a last, we took others liquidity on the daily, which most people can call the equal lows. Price took out that liquidity respect this zone, and you can see these two candles. Yes. So what is our current narrative? What are we looking at? The current narrative, actually using the daily time frame, seems to favor the upside for price to rebalance itself. Where are the areas I'm looking at price to rebalance itself? This area 1, then this area of paraventure, this area. Those areas, where are they? That's a weekly order block. This is the mean threshold of this weekly order block. And then this particular one has to do with the daily time frame, which is this level, the mean threshold of the order block on the daily time frame. These are the area I'm looking at price to rebalance itself. That's become the area of focus. It might exceed those area, but I'm interested in this area first. But price, definitely we know will react to a particular point. Where the likelihood price may react to here is already a key level for me. I'll start looking at. But if here fails, what's the next area? I'm looking at this area. So those are the areas I'm looking at price to react to before then we go and take those draw on liquidity. Price is at the key level of interest for me. Delivering depends actually on which side of the liquidity is traded first for this particular pair. So we'll be moving to our last pair. So moving over to our next pair, which is the British pound JPY. We are starting on the monthly as we have information there. So on the monthly time frame, the fair value gap has been filled completely. So using this monthly time frame, we drop to the daily time frame. Using the monthly time frame for narrative, we're using the daily time frame for narrative actually. So within the monthly fair value gap imbalances. So we are saying that the daily structures now seek rebalancing. We want to see the daily structure, the daily charts rebalance itself to this level. This is a weekly order block here in paraventure. If we drive more, can be on the daily order block here. Current drawn liquidity sits at these levels, this level, the fair value gap on the daily, the order block on the weekly, and the order block on the daily. But actually the key is whether displacement supports continuation into this weekly order block or if reaction forms within the daily imbalances. That's what we are looking at. We can say that we've looked at these 4 pairs, starting from the USTEC, which we actually say that is at the equilibrium price on the weekly, if we use the weekly. Then for British pound USD, which is the drawn liquidity, we are looking for a higher reaction within this range. Then for Euro USD, we can say it is rebalancing from the premium zone on this. And for the British pound JPY, price is actually at the monthly fair value gap. Remember this, map liquidity first, but the sequencing determines the delivering for the week. Thank you.